Isn't a healthy future what we all want at this point? I am deathly afraid of needles, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. However, if there was a vaccine for coronavirus tomorrow, I would be first in line. With the current global pandemic due to COVID-19 and talk that we will never return to a state of normalcy until a vaccine is developed in about a year, I decided to analyze whether vaccines should be federally mandated. Immunizations are considered one of the greatest medical advancements of the 20th century because they save millions of lives and prevent diseases. However, vaccines have come under some strict scrutiny recently, and vaccine preventable illnesses and deaths could start to surge. The major medical organizations like the CDC, the World Health Organization, and American Academy of Pediatrics and Family Physicians strongly recommend vaccinations because they create immunity and are highly effective. Vaccines are safe and effective, but state governments are not protecting individuals or our nation, and therefore the federal government needs to implement a national standard and mandate vaccines in order to protect us and our neighbors. Vaccine preventable diseases are making a resurgence because the federal government is not regulating and making immunizations mandatory, which is putting our nation at risk and causing unnecessary illnesses and death. To give some background information from the CDC, a vaccine is a product that stimulates a person's immune system to a specific disease, protecting that person from that disease. In other words, you are actually exposed to a safe version of the virus and you gain protection without actually getting sick. Vaccines protect children from 14 different diseases that are not only serious but life-threatening. However, each state initiates its own guidelines for immunization, and some even allow religious, philosophical, and medical exemptions, which create a danger for everyone. In the state of Georgia, in the official code of Georgia annotated, section 20-2-771, point B, states that all school-aged children and children attending daycare facilities must show proof of vaccination before attendance. Yet Georgia allows religious exemptions, which puts children and communities at risk and creates an unsafe learning environment. On procon.org, a blog post called "Should Public School Students Get Mandated Vaccines?" Phil Platt stated, "A parent does not have the right to have their child in a public school if that child is unvaccinated. It comes down to a very simple reality. It puts other children at risk." Anti-vaxxers, those against vaccines, believe immunizations are unsafe and ineffective, and since exemptions and different rules exist for each state, they take advantage of the system and avoid getting their children inoculated, which puts our nation at risk. On healthdebate.ca, 7 Ways to Talk to an Anti-Vaxxer by Vanessa Mai, Timothy Caulfield, and Joshua Tepper, Cornelia Besch, a German psychologist, pointed out, One is false expectations. They demand 100% safety, and nothing on earth is 100% safe. I totally agree with that. Even though you don't expect to get in a car accident, you still buckle up because it's the law. This mentality should be applied to vaccines. Although there are always risks like anaphylactic shock, the CDC estimates that it occurs in only 1 child per million. Opponents also argue that vaccines cause autism, ADHD, and diabetes, but studies indicate there is no viable link. Other serious side effects like seizures, comas, or brain damage only affect 1 to 2 people out of a million, and proponents feel the benefits outweigh the risk. Because people are not getting vaccinated, diseases like the measles and whooping cough are emerging again. Although the measles was thought to be eliminated in 2000, in 2019, the U.S. saw more than 1,000 cases, the largest since 1992. And as of April 5th, there are 12 confirmed cases in 7 states. In 2012, the whooping cough outbreak affected 50,000 people, the largest since 1955. And this could only get worse, and it could increase by 71 times. Anti-vaccine activists feel the government should not have the authority to dictate medical decisions and make vaccines mandatory, which is fueled by the media, false facts, and fears. But these claims need to be put to rest if we want to stay healthy and safe. Immunizations protect people against contagious diseases becoming a worldwide pandemic like COVID, and we have yet to see the total devastation from that. To date, according to worldometer.info, coronavirus has affected over 2 million people, and there are over 144,000 deaths, and this is only increasing every day. To guarantee the protection and well-being of our nation, the government needs to intervene, and a universal vaccine initiative needs to be implemented and mandated. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says vaccines are the best defense we have against serious, preventable, and sometimes deadly contagious diseases. Vaccines have been successful not only in eliminating but also eradicating some viruses that have plagued the welfare of our citizens for centuries. Therefore, the government needs to establish and enforce a clear mandate for vaccines. In an article on Fox News called Dr. Manny, Should Obama Make Vaccinations Mandate for All Children? Manny Alvarez stated, I am calling on the federal government to mandate vaccination for all children and to eliminate all the silly loopholes that are creating chaos in so many communities throughout America. Vaccines are not only about the individual, but they are also meant to protect the lives of others. If medical professionals and organizations work alongside the government to do everything necessary and to educate and enforce the public to get immunizations, then we will have a brighter future and save millions of lives and keep people healthy. Before vaccines, people became sick or even died from diseases like polio, rubella, measles, mumps, and tetanus. But thanks to vaccines, they are now preventable, and now just look at how far we have come, and the stats can only increase over time and should convince everyone to get vaccinated. The CDC states that U.S. childhood immunizations will prevent 322 million illnesses, 21 million hospitalizations, and 732,000 deaths in children that were born between 1994 and 2013. Smallpox killed millions, but it was the first virus epidemic to be stopped with a vaccine, and it was finally eradicated in 1980. Polio cases have decreased by more than 99% since 1988, according to WHO. The WHO also estimates vaccines prevent 2 to 3 million deaths each year. Vaccine-preventable diseases still exist, so vaccines are crucial if we want to protect the future generations of the pandemic and the alternatives to suffer the consequences. Vaccine-preventable diseases still exist, so vaccinations are crucial if we want to protect future generations from a pandemic, because the alternative is to suffer the consequences if the federal government does not intervene and implement a universal vaccination initiative to ensure our safety. We are currently in a global pandemic, which is ravaging the world and disrupting everyday life and killing thousands. The coronavirus is showing us just how destructive a disease can be without a vaccine. Outbreaks are preventable due to safe and effective vaccines. We must make a plea and stay vigilant in getting the federal government to intervene and make immunizations mandatory, because it is the only option to ensure the welfare of our community and avoid the devastating effects we are witnessing. Let us not only be responsible, but also take responsibility and do what is best for ourselves and our entire community by getting immunizations. I hope you can take away the importance of vaccinations and how helpful they are, and I wish everyone health and happiness. A proverb sums up this dilemma nicely. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Thank you.